This is Council Member Dave Alvord. I represent Salt Lake County Council District 2, which is the west side of the Salt Lake Valley. I'm here with Corinne Johnson. She's my policy advisor. And, we have so many interesting conversations. I said to her the other day, why don't we just start to record these and share them with the public, and maybe they'll find them interesting. If we get more than one view, we'll know it's worth it, and we'll kind of go from there. But the thing that we were talking about the other day that I thought Corinne had some really great insights about was the flag referenda. As many of you may know or may not know, the state of Utah adopted a new flag. It's bright and colorful. I originally pretty impressed. I thought, what a cool thing. And it seems that the citizens, quite a few people, there's some momentum to put it on for referendum, which means they get to overturn the legislature. And I happened to ask Corinne about this, and she had some interesting insights. I thought maybe I'd give a little background as to why I liked the flag. I recently took my family to the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Mount Rushmore, and if any of you have been there, they have all of the flags of the United States. And my 4 kids, they couldn't wait to see, where's Utah? Where's Utah?
Yeah, I've been there. I've seen that.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
And Utah's flag is similar to a dozen or more other flags in that it's the seal, and it's a dark background with a seal, and we couldn't find Utah's flag very fast. So when I found that Utah was considering a redesign that was going to just be some icon for the state, I actually was pretty excited about it. And then I went to a state political convention, and I saw a group of people gathering signatures to restore the old flag. And so, Corinne, maybe give us a little background on this flag and why it's kind of taken a life of its own.
Absolutely. So the first thing to clarify is that they actually did try and do a referendum on the legislation that was passed, and they didn't get enough signatures. But there was a very short window of time, and the citizens felt so strongly that there was such a movement before that time frame cut off for them to get those signatures that they wanted to keep going. And so now it's actually a ballot initiative. So it will go onto the ballot that we'll be able to have the choice on the ballot of whether or not we keep the flag. So it's actually a ballot initiative now. So
not a referendum.
Not a referendum, and now they have more time to gather the signatures to put this issue on the ballot and do that. So, but it is an interesting topic, because I've talked to my mom and I've talked to other neighbors, and they say the same thing. What's the big deal? Like, it's just a flag, everybody.
Yeah.
And
my understanding is they've made it so that you can have the old flag for ceremonial purposes, and you can have the new flag for buildings, or you can use either one. They don't have a preference. So we got 2 flags now, which honestly that is a little problematic. A flag should be the flag, an icon.
Yes.
So I don't love the 2 flags, but it does seem to maybe compromise and help with people who object to change.
Yes.
So why is this taken on a political thing? I actually tweeted the other day, gosh, that new flag looks good. And someone responded, oh, I guess Dave Alvord's woke.
Yes, exactly.
And no, I'm not woke. So how would a flag become woke? I don't understand that.
So I think part of the issue is the fact that our nation in general has become, and Utah specifically as a state, has become much more aware of an overreaching left agenda. This happened really a lot during 2020 with COVID, and you have BLM, riots, and everything going on. And as part of that, there was this huge push to remove the history of our country and rewrite the history of our nation. And I think Utahns have become very sensitive to that issue. And originally, when Representative Handy and Senator Dan McCay, who is a very conservative senator.
Oh yeah, we love Dan.
Yeah.
Dan's he's been running pro-life legislation. Yes. Dan's great.
So they started on this journey. Originally, they stated that this would go to the ballot. That this would be something that the legislature would pick a flag, there'd be a big contest, they'd pick a flag winner from Utah residents' designs, and then they would send it to the ballot and the people could vote on a new flag. And there's this feeling that when the tide kind of turned, the conscience of Utah kind of woke up to this idea that they're trying to erase our history, that maybe it wouldn't pass. that maybe this new flag would get lumped into this movement and it wouldn't pass. And there was a lot of people who really wanted this new flag. And
Yeah.
so one of the things that was concerning is that there was a new shift to now say, hey, the legislature is going to make the new flag, and we're going to design a flag that represents all of Utah and all Utahns. And that begs
hard
the
to do,
question.
right?
Hard to do, right?
Yeah.
But that begs the question. So our current flag
On the other hand,
doesn't represent?
it's some colors and some symbols, so maybe,
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes sense. So, and I can tell tell the audience, someone that's been involved in passing legislation. Sometimes it's so hard to get consensus that you start to get impatient and
Yes.
you just want to get it done, and so I can kind of understand why the legislature would say, "Gosh, to get this actually done once and for all, we've already come this far. Let's just not take it to a vote of the people. Let's just force it through
Yeah.
by force." It's a temptation that every elected official faces,
Yes.
just because of the amount of work they've done. Not any kind of sense of entitlement or tyranny. It's just more of a, hey, if we're going to get this done, we got to do this.
Yeah, and there's a cost associated with this. By the time you work on a plan and get the flag, I mean, they've spent around $500,000 to date on this. And so, like you said, when you get that far down the road, you want to get it done. And then I think it becomes, an issue or badge of honor for the representatives who picked it up that, like, no, let's do this. But I also think that's also a misstep. If one representative takes this issue so much to heart that it becomes their personal mantra, their personal issue, then that doesn't unite everyone under one flag. That unites everyone under one senator or one representative and what they think is what they really want.
Yeah.
And another issue is that this new flag has been culturally appropriated, and that makes a lot of people uncomfortable because.
So for any of our listeners, we hear that word a lot, appropriation.
Yes.
Can you kind of give us a quick definition of what appropriation means?
So it's taking something that represents a very specific thing, a flag. The flag represents the state of Utah. It represents our culture, and it should represent that specifically in the colors and the style. There's legislation that says this is the flag. This is the design. And another group that is not associated with the state of Utah but takes that design and they change it to make it theirs. The example we're really specifically referring to here is the LGBTQ plus community has appropriated this new design, and they have changed the design and they've added in all of the rainbow colors and transgender colors onto this flag, and they have appropriated this design to represent their community.
Okay.
And we never saw that happen in the years and decades of having our original state flag. Never once was it culturally appropriated, nor was that praised.
Yeah.
And that's been praised. This is so great
So
that people can take our flag and make it their own. And
So you have our flag, and instead of the colors that it was commissioned,
yes,
they're interchanging different colors into that flag.
yes,
And it's now taking on a different symbol and a different form, and it's not a broad representation.
no,
So why? I'm just thinking about this. Every company has a logo. Every organization has a trademark. It would seem that the state or the legislature could have forbidden that. They could have said, no, this is a unifying symbol. We're not allowing you to use it for any other purpose other than to say Utah. This is the state of Utah, and this is the only way you may display it. I know the United States flag has all kinds of rules, and I actually try to follow those. I take my flag down at night because if you don't have your flag lit at night, it's not supposed to be waving in the wind in the dark. They want the flag respected. You can display the flag at night if it's under illumination. So we have rules about flags. The American flag, is obviously our highest flag and our most sacred flag. But a state flag could kind of be a little sister, a little brother to that, where you say, look, this is our flag. It needs to be respected, only displayed in these ways, and you can't alter it. You can't burn it. You can't do all these bad things to the flag. So did the state set out guidelines that said, no, this flag needs to stay sacrosanct. It needs to stay pure as the way it was introduced?
As far as I know, they have not. And because the sponsor of the legislation, he praised this practice of changing the flag and using the flag in all different ways,
Okay.
not just as a flag, but really, I mean, put it on anything,
So
and put it
maybe
in
in-
any colors.
Maybe
So
in
any
his
group can
zeal-
appropriate it.
In
Yes.
his zeal to say, hey, we want everyone to love this flag, you can use it however you want. It can be your
Yes.
tablecloth, it can be your shoes, it can be
Your socks.
now it's not something that's unifying. It's
Yeah.
now something that could be used as division.
Yes.
And members of the more woke group jumped on that quicker. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty quick, and now, like, I'd love to go back to our original flag, just because this has now become something that's not uniting, but that's become controversial, and it's become divisive in our community. So I'm going to admit something here, you guys. This is a horrible thing, but
Here we go.
now if I drive through a neighborhood and I see someone flying the state flag, I'm like, yeah, there's a
Oh,
Trumper. They're
you mean
super
the,
conservative. The original state
traditional-
flag,
the traditional
flag
flag
with
with
the
the
seal, and I'm all like, yeah, those are my people. They're super conservative. And then if I see someone flying the new state flag with the new symbols, I'm like, oh my gosh, totally woke sellout.
Oh.
Like, you know, I mean, subconsciously, I've already decided that you know, if you are, you know, a true patriot of Utah, a true lover of Utah, you're gonna fly the
Yeah.
original flag, and if you're woke, you're gonna fly the new flag. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's not the way it should be. And I don't think that, you know, when this was set out in our state to, hey, let's create a new state flag, I don't think that this was the result that was ever intended.
No.
To have so much controversy
Nobody
and
wants
so much
a
division.
divisive flag.
No.
And I think for me, you know, I'm not quite as pure to the old flag as you are. I actually think that our old flag did break some rules of vexillology,
Mhm.
and these are these actual rules that a flag should be visible from a mile away, and a flag should be not have words on it, and there's actual rules to flags. And so for me, if I was to run a referendum, it would be, I'm fine with changing the flag, but it cannot be appropriated,
Yeah.
and it has to be respected, and it's a
Mhm.
flag,
Mhm.
and it has to be a unifying thing.
Yeah.
And perhaps the cat's already on the bag on that, but I do think we could reverse it.
Yeah.
However, I have to say, after learning this history, that it was supposed to be a vote, and it was supposed to be this and that, and then it changed into something else. I have a lot of sympathy and compassion for those that want to just bring the old flag back. So
Absolutely.
it'll be highly interesting to see this on the ballot. I would
Mhm.
imagine that some conservatives may show up and vote that maybe didn't before, just
Yeah.
because of this.
Agreed.
We saw a similar thing happen when marijuana was on the ballot,
Mhm.
when it was a citizen initiative, rather than rather than a vote of just regular candidates. So it brings out voters that you don't normally have.
Mhm.
I suspect there will be people from the left that want to say, no, we like this new flag, and the fact that the conservatives don't like the new flag, that makes me like the new flag even more, because that's just the
Yeah.
contentious state of mind of a lot of Americans, a lot of Utahns right now.
It is.
Do
Sadly.
you predict they'll get enough signatures to get this on the ballot?
I think they will. There's so much momentum behind this issue, and there's some great resources. There's a website and a Facebook group, Save Utah's Flag, that you can go to find out how, you know, you can see how many signatures they're collecting. They're keeping track, and I know, like last weekend, just in Brigham City, they filled 45 packets
Okay.
of signatures, and the people really are rising to this issue and saying, no, we
Yeah.
are the people. This is our flag. We want to decide what symbol represents all of us collectively.
Okay.
And it is empowering when you get to say, put it on the ballot. I
Yeah.
want to vote on this issue. We love voting. Voting is that right, that, you know, that
Yeah.
intrinsic right that we have. And so let's put it on the ballot, and hopefully that will be that uniting moment that
Yeah.
we need in this issue. We've got to come together. This division isn't great. So if it makes it on the ballot, I would be thrilled, because that might be that moment where we can unite, we can settle this for once and all, and we can have one state flag.
Yeah. And I'll just say, for anyone that sees the new flag and you see it on a school or you see it somewhere, the person that flew that may have had no idea
Yes.
of this subtext of everything that's happening. They may
Mhm.
just think, hey, we got a new flag, I'm getting with the program.
Yeah.
And the person that flies the old flag may have no idea that there's a new flag. They just
Yes.
haven't bought the new flag yet. And I would just say that if the initiative succeeds and they get the votes this November, that we accept that the will of the people. I think
Yes.
that's very important. If the initiative fails, we have to accept that will of the people.
Mhm.
But I would just strongly encourage the legislature to not allow the appropriation of the flag or the
Exactly.
changing or the altering of the flag for a company
Mhm.
or a political movement. You know what? This flag tells us one thing and one thing only. You happen to be in Utah right now. You know, you think what a flag really does
Yeah.
is it just tells you where you are.
Yeah.
If you see the Spanish flag, oh, I happen to be in Spain. If you see the French flag, I'm in France. If I see Colorado flag, I'm in Colorado. If I see the Utah flag, I'm in Utah. It really, we like to add symbols to these things, but their first job is just to be a sense of place.
Mhm.
And I do want to applaud the people that are doing this initiative. I actually really like those. I think it's kind of neat that we have this process where we're actually putting our money where our
Yeah,
mouth is, that
absolutely.
we have government for the people and by the people. And so, well, what a great conversation,
I know.
Corinne.
And I learned a lot from you on this too.
Yeah.
And I will do better when I drive around my neighborhood to remember that I know a lot more about this issue, like you said, than most.
Yeah.
And we can all be kind and we can all be understanding. And as Utahns, we can unite no matter what flag is flying.
That's right. That's right. Well, this has been a great conversation. Maybe we'll have more in the future, but good to be with you. Have a great day.